Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Sports Talk with Brodes. I don't know if I should be happy that they at least found a way to snag a point or pissed off that I'm seeing the same issues over and over and over again. And it's obvious that when you're down Phil Myers and you have to put Friedman in and Friedman gets banged up and he barely even logged 5 minutes, that's going to take a toll on you defensively. And oh, by the way, Sean Couturier, a Selke winner, is not available. So the defensive issues that we keep seeing, there's definitely factors to why that is. At the same time, though, Matt Niskanen's loss and this D-core as a whole was a concern entering the season, and I think that a big reason why this is the production you're getting is basically because this is a hole that you had even entering the season. Another game of allowing 40 shots. They allowed way too many goals in the third period. The first period sucked. I mean, you got lucky that you entered the second period when it was 0-0. Carter Hart making stellar saves. He kept you in the game. He was so focused and so dialed in early. It was incredible. They were outshot 14-3, I should say, in the first period. They were stuck on 2 shots forever, and that's including a power play where they were unwilling to rip the biscuit whatsoever. Why aren't you fucking shooting the puck? They eventually did in the second. Claude Giroux with a short side bar down. That was insane. Right over Tuukka Rask's shoulder. Ew, it was so nasty. You hear the hit of the pipe. I don't know how and hit of the pipe relates whatsoever, but I'll say this. When it hits the pipe and it goes bar down, that's how I'll relate it together, damn it. We are broadcasting live, by the way, from the Manscaped Man Cave. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BROD at manscaped.com. Check out their Lawnmower 3.0, their Weed Whacker, which is their ear and nose hair trimmer, ball deodorant, ball toner, anti-chafing boxers. You name it, they have it. Promo code BROD at manscaped.com. Carter Hart in that first period. How many tips and redirections were involved for Boston? It felt like every single damn play in the offensive zone for them, they were looking for that, as if they're moving Carter Hart all around to try and find a way to get it past him, because Carter Hart is so strong with his angles. He's so professionally sound. Now, there's hiccups along the way, don't get me wrong, but when you watch him, he's so damn good at just properly understanding where he is in the crease. It's tough to beat him. So you got to find a way to make sure you make the puck go in another direction. Tip, move him side to side. Try and get him active from post to post. They couldn't crack the code early. I was blown away with how magnificent he played in that period, because remember, he was brutal in his last outing to the point where he had to get yanked and Alain Vigneault put in Brian Elliott. So this was him bouncing back. This was him mentally getting in between the pipes for the first time since then. He stood on his damn head. The Flyers got the lead in the second, as I mentioned. Claude Giroux on the power play. Then they ended up getting a second, not power play goal, was right as the power play ended, but a second opportunity, because Jake Voracek, who had a crazy game, I have to tip my cap to Jake Voracek because he played outstanding. He finished with 3 assists. He could have even had the game winner in overtime, but we'll get to that. Tuukka Rask in overtime stole the damn hockey game. The Flyers had, 6 opportunities, really good ones too, may I add, and they just could not get it past Tuukka Rask at all. But I digress. That second period, Jake Voracek gets hooked in the offensive zone as he's trying to make a play on the puck, which led to a power play. And I mentioned how early on they weren't shooting. It looked like they switched their mentality. Claude Giroux was getting shots to the net. He scored the first bingo. In this power play, they were moving the puck around. They got a little lucky because the Bruins, they read the cross-crease pass, but it went through the Bruins stick. It found a way to touch Jake Voracek's tape perfectly, and he fed it back in the direction where the original pass came to JVR in the slot area that put it past Tuukka. So JVR right in front of the netminder where he finds his money, where he cashes in, where he pays his bills. He was able to connect, and that gave the Flyers a 2-0 lead in a game where I really didn't think they deserved the lead at that point. You know, the second period, I will say, the second period was definitely a stronger outing, and it was a flip. They were nowhere even close to as abysmal in the second as they were in the first. Like, that first period was so bad. They were in their D zone, and I remember watching plays where the Bruins, once again, were, and I say once again because I've seen this happen so many damn times this season, teams are in the offensive zone on a 5-on-5. 5-on-5. No man advantage, but it feels like a power play because they're working the offensive zone. They're cycling down low. They're utilizing the points. They're walking the blue line. They're creating lanes. And no D or no forward are going up to their forwards and closing out, taking away time and space. I've been stressing that statement way too many times. You got to be stronger in the D zone. You got to get up on them. You can't be nonchalant and just trying to be in the box and allowing teams to work around the offensive zone by the perimeter. It can't happen. Now, AV after the game said something that is definitely valuable when it comes to why this game specifically they allowed 40 shots. The Boston Bruins have struggled to score goals 5-on-5. They were only scoring on the power play, which they did tonight too, by the way. But they haven't been able to generate as much success as they have in the past 5-on-5. So they probably went in with this mentality of, hey, let's pepper Carter Hart. Let's take shots from a lot of angles. Let's just put pucks on net and see what happens because we need to find a way to get more offense other than just power play moments. So, you know, with that mindset, yeah, you're naturally going to create a lot of shots on the score sheet. But I've also seen this Flyers team allow 40 shots as well from another opponent. So there's a correlation here on the Flyers side too. It's so bad to watch. And when Freeman went out of the game, you're working with 5 defensemen, and it might not seem like a lot, but that's a difference maker. It really is. When you're playing 5D for that long and you got to go periods of switching the D-core around and switching who you're playing with and not being able to go out with the same guy and get that chemistry and get that feel, it's definitely a problem. It really is. How many games now have we said, oh, you're getting banged up? Morgan Frost, we got the report on him. That looks like it's going to be a problem, and he's going to be out for a significant amount of time. Now, with Myers week to week with a rib, I still think he's going to be out for a bit, but it's not as bad as Frost's injury. Ghost is apparently going to be skating real soon, so maybe you get him back in the mix, but does that fix you defensively? Does that fix the issues and the flaws in that side of the ice? The answer is no. I'll tell you. We don't need to wait and see. The answer is no. That's scary. Third period. 53 seconds in, zone entry, line change for the Flyers, and here they go. Nolan Patrick trying to stay with his man. The initial shot didn't go in, but they stayed with the puck. They stayed going to the net. They stayed crashing the blue paint, and they found a way to get it past Carter Hart. I thought Nolan Patrick should have done a better job at being strong on the stick and being able to get the puck out of harm's way. That wasn't the case. The Bruins, one of their second-round picks in 2017, gets on the board. The name is escaping me, but he gets his first NHL goal. You can see in his reaction how stoked he was, but I think Nolan Patrick has to be stronger there. The zone entry was too easy, and the Bruins generated a good chance. Seconds later, here's Coyle in the slot area with a spinorama little shot, and it goes right through Carter Hart. That was a weak one for Carter. I expect him to make that play, but I can also make the argument that Coyle shouldn't be able to do a spinorama move and slap at the puck in that situation. If Nolan Patrick was weak on the stick, how about we get a little stronger in that spot too? You just allowed a goal. How important is this? And how many times, if you played hockey, have you heard this one? A shift after a goal is so damn important. The shift after any goal, whether it's a goal you allowed or a goal you scored, that's a momentum changer. That's something that can change the outcome of the flow of the game, the rhythm of what's happening. You can't just allow the Bruins to score a goal 53 seconds into the damn period, by the way, and then here you go, they just score again. So within a little bit over a minute, the game's tied. Unacceptable. Now, I like the fact that they bounce back, and this kind of relates to how I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'm torn, because they did grab a point in a game where they shouldn't have grabbed a point. They got outplayed. At the same time, why is it this sloppy? So with the third period, you let a 2-goal lead slip, but you battled back more than once. Travis Sanheim joins the rush. I thought it was a great opportunity to go to the net. How many times have I mentioned going to the net? All season long, this year for the Flyers, and even when I'm talking about the opponent. So keep driving. Don't stop. Gain the blue line, middle guy drive. It's not hard, but Sanheim makes that decision, and it wasn't even a beautiful play. And that supports my logic. Good things can happen when you do it. It might not be tic-tac-toe, beautiful twine, Claude Giroux, bar down short side. It doesn't need to be that way. It could be a Jakub Voracek play. As he throws the puck, it looked like a pass attempt. It hits off Sanheim's skate. It changes direction, and it goes past Tuukka Rask. I don't give a damn how it happens. I just care how many. And that's a 3-2 lead for the Flyers. But they lost that lead. And I was a little annoyed because when it was 3-2 Flyers, the Bruins turned the puck over constantly in their D zone, which allowed the Flyers to have a couple mini 2-on-1s, right? So Travis Konechny had a 2-on-1. He ends up shooting it. I didn't think that was a bad look or a bad attempt. Tuukka Rask just made a save, but this one bothered me. Joel Farabee had a 2-on-1 with Voracek, I believe it was, and I forget who was on the other side with Farabee. For some reason, my mind screams Voracek, but it doesn't really matter. The defenseman clearly took away the pass. I mean, it wasn't even close. It was so obvious. And here he is. He tries to thread the needle through the slot. Dude, take the shot. Get shots on net. It wasn't even a passing situation. How can you possibly read that as a passing situation? Imagine if you scored there. Now it's 4-2. Just like you gave up 2 goals in a minute span, you can score 2 goals quickly with the snap of your fingers as well and take all of that pride away from the Bruins. But instead, it gets picked off easily and the Bruins counter the other way. Unacceptable. Now, Joel Farabee, a couple moments later, ended up getting a puck and he shot it on net, which was a nice hard shot. But you can't pass up those chances. You just can't. When you get that close into the territory and you have that much space and time, rip it, dude. Rip it. If you wanted to try and find whoever it was on the backside there, try far pad. I'll live with that. I'll live with you trying to go far pad over what you did there. It just can't happen. So Lawton took an offensive zone penalty, which allowed the Bruins to go on the power play. Did I think it was a good call? No, I didn't. And they got rewarded, the Flyers did, later on with Corrali taking a neutral zone penalty that the Flyers cashed in on. So 3-2, well, there were some more goals involved, but 3-2, Scott Lawton takes an offensive zone penalty. Ridiculous. Boston Bruins score. Richie ends up scoring backdoor over Carter Hart's glove to make it 3-3. Carlo with a blast from the point makes it 4-3. But as I mentioned, the Flyers ended up getting a power play that JVR cashed in on. Hayes, Voracek, JVR, how do you do? It's a tied hockey game. So they're battling back. But it doesn't feel like a good battle back. It screams pissed off battle back. Because it was unacceptable. Because even though you stole the lead when it was 2-0 and you stole the lead at 4-3, I don't care. You had the lead. Find a way to grind it out, get pucks deep, hit the red, get it to the goal line, establish your forecheck. They don't have Torrey Krug anymore. They don't have Pasternak with the top dogs. They don't have Zdeno Chara. You should be able to execute there better. You have the lead. You didn't deserve the lead. I don't care that you didn't deserve the lead. You had the lead. Good teams find ways. And they sure found a way, all right? Found a way to lose it. You're lucky this thing went to overtime. Somehow, some way, Carter Hart's flopping like a fish in the blue paint. The puck is sitting in the crease behind him. It hits his butt end as he's on his stomach. Justin Braun is trying to block shots. He's hitting the puck out of the zone. That was crazy. The end of the game was just so damn wild. So with all that being said, it gets to overtime, and the Flyers were so damn dominant, and Tuukka Rask stole it, unfortunately. So do you see why I'm so conflicted? It's always this, but that. This, but that. This, but that. But they were dominant in overtime. So they should have found a way to execute. But they didn't. Oh, it's so conflicting. It's one of those nights for me where I'm emotionally drained. Sanheim in overtime beats a defenseman wide. He's cutting to the net beautifully. Cut and score. Voracek right at the doorstep. Tries to go backhand. Here's Tuukka Rask. It hits his glove side. Hits his shoulder. Stays out of the net. Kevin Hayes backdoor gets robbed. Scott Lawton had a mini breakaway. He cut and score. I imagine that Scott Lawton is going to have a tough time sleeping tonight. With all due respect, probably not going to have the best night's sleep. I don't think Scott Lawton was the strongest, if you will. But you had to bring Bunnaman up because of Morgan Frost. I thought Bunnaman had some moments out there where he was flying around, just making simple plays, not doing anything too crazy, but not being like a huge liability at times either. And Kevin Hayes, before the game, I saw a quote about him talking about Connor Bunnaman being one of the best improved players in the camp. So just something to keep an eye out on. Of course, that could just be player speaking, Kevin Hayes speaking highly of a guy, but I would imagine he wouldn't just throw that out there just to throw it out there. He probably saw him in camp and thought, oh, wow, look, Bunny probably brought it this offseason a little bit, right? So something stood out to him for him to say that. He doesn't just make it up out of nowhere. He would just say something standard like, yeah, I'm excited for Bunny to get into the lineup. He wouldn't just randomly throw, oh, most improved player out there in the camp. So, just something to think about. But this team is battling injuries, and it's starting to get ugly, and it might get to the point where you just can't sustain it. AV afterwards mentioned how it was more of a precautionary thing with Freeman when his face hit the ice, with him and Marchand going back and forth there, and it looked like a wrestling match. I don't have too much of an issue with it, although because it's Marchand, it makes you feel a certain way about the play, but more of a very unfortunate thing, right? Two guys wrestle it up at the blue line, and most likely that doesn't happen. But I'm so annoyed. Travis Konechny should never go in a shootout, by the way. I don't like him as a shootout guy. Claude Giroux tried his fake clap bomb play that he does sometimes. Sometimes he rips it. Sometimes he fakes it. He wasn't able to cash in. Their shootout was putrid. I can understand going with Voracek because I thought Voracek played such a strong game. Same with JVR. So with Voracek, I can totally see why Alain Vigneault put him out there. He wasn't able to. It looked like he stuttered a little bit and tried to wait, tried to have the poise and go, but Tuukka Rask played it perfectly. Yeah, wild game. The way that it finished off with the back and forth, it came out of nowhere because with the turnovers, and I thought Robert Hay got a turnover along the wall, which resulted in one of the Bruins' great chances, and the turnovers in the first period, and the sloppiness, the slow start. Slow start, another common theme with this team, right? At what point are we going to be able to get out of the chute and bang with them, go with them? This is a good Bruins team. It's not a great elite Bruins team, in my opinion. They still have phenomenal pieces, right? They're still going to be a better team in this conference for sure, but I feel they've taken a step back from their past. And you can make the argument, look, Brodes, they were a Stanley Cup contender. They took a step back. They're still a great team. Yeah, definitely. But if I look at this Flyers team as the way that I do, I think that they should be able to give you a better 60-minute effort against the Bruins than they did tonight. But look, 3-1-1 after their first 5 games, troublesome in terms of what we've seen, but good in terms of record. So what do we do with that information? Well, that's a great question. How about I tell you about my friends, though, over at DraftKings? The return we've all been waiting for is finally here. UFC's most notorious icon is stepping back into the octagon this Saturday. Be sure to check out DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC, for a shot to turn $1 into $257. That's right. New users can bet $1 on McGregor to win by first-round knockout, and if he does, you'll be cashing in $257. Bet a little, win a lot. It's that simple. While we're all excited for this weekend's premier UFC fight, let's not forget about football. They're in the midst of their playoffs, so head to the app now and check out all the great playoff promotions. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $1 into $257 if McGregor wins by first-round knockout. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. That's code Brodes for new players to get $257 if McGregor wins by first-round knockout. For a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. Restrictions apply. Partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So, what do all these issues mean for the future with this team? Well, I think, big picture is concerning, but I'm thinking more like, hey, they play the Boston Bruins again on Saturday. What are you going to see out of this team? That's why I love this 2-game mini set. And I don't know if I brought this up or not. I know I talked about it on the Sports Bash, but I read an article from Pierre LeBrun on The Athletic, and it discussed, mini series. So I apologize if I mentioned this already on a previous podcast. I talk so much damn sports these days. I wake up, podcast, go to 97.3, come home, watch a game, record a podcast. I forget where the hell I talk about some of these issues and some of these conversations at. So excuse me if I did before, but I think it's so damn interesting. These series, Pierre LeBrun on The Athletic was talking about maybe this being a great idea. It adds more intrigue. And not only that, when it comes to cost, and these owners worry about costs and traveling via these private flights, it saves a lot of money as well. But I look at it from a fan's perspective, not so much the financial decisions behind it, because that's obviously going to favor the teams and their decisions to do it. I love the fact that you lose to Buffalo 6-1, you get your ass kicked. What are you going to do the next night? And I love the fact that you let one slip away, although you played hideous, and I'm pissed off that you did. What are you going to look like the next time you play the same team 2 days later against a Boston team that has a lot of talent? What is your counter going to be? I'm getting nervous, though, that the forward depth, while you have it, it's starting to play a toll on you, right? It's starting to play a factor in what you got out there. While you can live with Bunneman and you can live with Scott Law in playing up and whatnot, it'll come back to bite you. And Friedman, it'll come back to bite you. This decor from the beginning scared me. And I think it's very valid. I talk about this all the time with the Sixers, right? I look at their regular season, but I try to apply things to the postseason. At the same time, I realize everything changes when the game slows down. Well, with hockey, the game doesn't slow down in terms of, half-court sets and slow down transition basketball. It gets faster. It gets more physical. You have less time and space. You don't have as much time to maneuver out there and to make plays. With this decor, will great teams just expose it? Because they will have a lot of time and space. We don't have that defensive core to really shut guys down. Ivan Provorov played 30 minutes. Keep in mind, it was a game where you went to overtime. And I think Travis Sanheim over the last couple of games really showed me some flashing moments. So I wonder what the coach is going to elect to do moving forward with that. Is that going to be maybe a pair that you can do? Travis Sanheim playing on a different side, though, although he played there before. You got to adjust to being on your backhand instead of your forehand, but it's something that you can absolutely do, and you can find a way to perfect it for sure. It throws you off, but not enough where, it's the make or break moment. I thought I saw positive things out of him. I'm just trying to find a way to fix this decor. What can you possibly do? What is the best pairings? The decor is going to scare me because while other teams are going to find ways to keep their gap tight, I think in crucial moments, if we talk about this team legitimately making a run or not, you're going to have wide open ice for these players to make a ton of plays. And no. I'm watching guys get toast wide. I'm watching guys get burnt left and right. It's not something that I love to see. It's nice to see Claude Giroux get on the score sheet, though. He hasn't scored a goal yet. So for him to be able to rock one this year and for it to be as pretty as it was, yeah, I loved it. And I love that JVR is getting going. Remember, JVR did not have a great year last year. He was getting healthy scratch. Lane Vigneault was sort of picking on him, picking on the veteran. Not necessarily picking on him. Maybe that's not the right word, but, he held him to a high standard based off of his track record. They paid a lot of money for JVR, and his ass wasn't playing. Well, now he seemed to get into a role and get into a rhythm a little bit and kind of found a great spot for him. Not that this is a spot he's not accustomed to playing at, right? I mean, right in front of the net, that's where he's good at. But he's cashing in, and he's finding his opportunities, and he's making the most of them as well. I think that there's something to be said about JVR, Voracek getting on the score sheet a bunch of times, and I really thought he played a beautiful game. Claude Giroux, like I mentioned, the veteran core and the veteran leadership over the last few games, whether it was after the blowout against Buffalo. I didn't like their approach. I'm not saying I loved the veterans in this game in terms of leadership because you gave up the lead. And ultimately, when you blow a lead and when you allow that many goals in the third period, it goes on leadership. But they also were one of the reasons why you scored as many goals as you did. But if you look at the track record of this team to this point, how many goals are they allowing? Besides Brian Elliott's 40 save shutout. Can you consistently win that way? The answer is no. It starts with the D zone. You got to allow your defense to make your offense happen. Work with the breakout pass. From the breakout pass, have a guy swinging. When you get your guy swinging, hit him tape to tape or put the puck into space. Once you get that, let's flow through the neutral zone. I think at times they try and get too pretty. They're waiting for the perfect pass. They're trying to be too cute. Well, in reality, what they should do is let's throw some pucks on net. Let's try and get some tips. Now, it's ironic I'm saying this, with the power play early on, first game, Gustafson's throwing pucks on net. They're getting tips. Now it's like Kevin Hayes, Voracek, JVR. They have this play going where, they know what they're doing with the puck. They have these set plays. It's, hey, bang, 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 bang. And sometimes it works, but sometimes I think they need to dial it back a bit and they force it too much. I know you got to give a little and to take a little bit and all that, or take a little to give a little. So sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not going to work. You got to recognize that that's going to be the flow of those three out there on the peeper and trying to make plays happen. But at the same time, you got to be smart too, right? Like just because you have a set play doesn't mean you need to utilize that set play every single time. Sometimes it's, hey, let's get back to the basics here and let's establish a little bit of some offensive zone time. But yeah, trying to be too pretty, neutral zone at times gets a little ugly, sloppy turnovers. Guess what? I say it every night. And when you say it every night, it's who you are. It's your identity. My big thing when I do this every year is, my number I normally give teams when in an 82-game season, that is 20 games. After 20 games, I learn a lot about who you are, and I give my first initial reaction and my first initial assessment on who you are. I'm starting to learn that this D-zone breakdown stuff, it's just who they are. And that's not a winning formula. So, unfortunately, if they can't find a way to fix that, I think that this team has a big cap. You have a goalie, though, and goalies can steal you games. I don't know, though, if a goalie can save you from this many errors. Like, at some point, the errors are just going to add up so much that you're screwed. So let me tell you about my friends over at Orbit Energy and Power before I let you go. With over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, they're home to your experts in residential and commercial projects. They're dedicated to making sure your project is completed easily and properly by using high-quality materials and trained professionals to get the job done right. Their solar program eliminates your electric bill completely. They provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So check out their information. It's all down below. Thank you all so much for listening. Back at it on Saturday. See you guys next time.